Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now this has got to be one of my favourite aircraft of all time, the Fairey Battle Mark 1. Basically it's like a big Hurricane on steroids, used by the RAF at the start of the Second World War as a light bomber. Unfortunately it did, once it met the German sort of single seat fighters, it really didn't come off very well and was kind of withdrawn from service. It was kind of an aircraft out of time, but it was a fully metal winged, quite a modern aircraft for its time, but obviously nowhere near as quick enough to get away from single seater fighters, and it really should have had a lot more fighter protection during its operational period, but never came to pass, or the doctrine didn't come together by the time that it was realised it was not really up to the task. However, I do like the look of the aircraft. Big long glass canopy. It's a nice shape. It's a very attractive aircraft. Now, Trumpeter brought out the Fairey Fulmar last year in 1/48 scale, which I did build. It has a similar appearance to this. It's an entirely different aircraft, mate, but it's a similar appearance. Not the greatest of kits for a modern kit, but it was okay. I really liked it. And they've brought out of 1/48 scale Fairey Battle as well, which is due to be released. It has had some criticism for the canopy being slightly misshapen. I probably will pick it up when it comes out because I really do like this aircraft that much. And like I say, Airfix have yet to step up to the plate and produce this aircraft. A modern tool into this aircraft, I should say. They do have a slightly older version of the 1/72nd scale. However, we'll keep fingers crossed and hopefully that'll arrive one day. Now, I've already started this kit, so we'll have a quick look at the instructions. Then I'll show you where I'm up to. Really nice instructions. It's actually from Special Hobby. They've got it under the name of Azur. I don't know why. It's a Special Hobby kit. So we'll have a quick look at it. So it gives you the sprue layout there, the bits you don't need and the bits you do need. The instructions are well clear, very nice. Colour call-outs as you go. Couldn't be simpler. Nicely spaced out. Give you options for things like exhaust depending on what version you're building. And it gives you colour call-outs as you go. So you really can't go wrong with this kit. The fit of the parts look excellent, but we'll get to that in a second. Wings go together, wings and fuselage join together. Standard sort of build procedure. Undercarriage goes on, tail planes, control surfaces, and the forever going on glass houses. Quite a lot of glazing to mask up there. But that's the version I'm going to go for. This one, your standard sort of RAF black and over dark earth and green upper surfaces. So this one was from 226 Squadron, based in Reims in 1940. It was shot down apparently by ground fire on the 10th of May 1940. But it is a very attractive looking aircraft. So that's the version we're going to go for. This is where I'm up to already. As you can see, I'm busy building the interior. Oopsie, the cockpit interior, and it's got a nice level of raised detail. And there's one side, and here we have the other side. Let's see if I can pick that up. There we go. All the spare magazine rounds for the Lewis gun. Wings as well. One-piece moulded wing. The undersurface. Nice level of detail there. Nice uniform panel lines, scribed panel lines. The bomb bays are shut, I'm afraid, but never mind. Can't have everything. But the fit is very, very nice. So I'll just quickly pop these together. And you can see how snug they are. This is going to be a very nice build, I think. I think it's going to turn into a lovely kit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to complete the cockpit. We'll get that undercoated and we'll get a top coat of paint on that. We'll weather that, then we'll get it put together and we'll start building the rest of it. But otherwise, it looks like it's going to be a very, very nice kit of a very, very nice aircraft. Right, progress on the battle. Now, obviously, I've jumped quite a bit ahead to what I filmed before. My own fault, I didn't actually record. Well, I meant to record the construction bit of this, but never really got that. Didn't press the record button. Silly sausage. Right, okay, so pretty much built up the whole model. The interior is painted and weathered. I will do a little bit more work on it. The transfer for the instrument panel was absolutely dire, so I'm not going to be using that. So I'm going to have to try and give some detail when I've finished painting the outside of the plane. So it has gone together really nicely. I mean, the tail wheel's nice, it's very nicely detailed. The undercarriage, a bit fiddly, a bit difficult, but it's gone together, and it's looking the business. I've got a little seam to sort out there, and there's a curious massive gap in the outlet to the radiator there. There must be something that has to live in there, but it just isn't, which is a shame. So I'm going to have to block that up to prime it. I'm not quite sure what lives in there, but whatever it isn't in with the kit. But it has captured the shape of the battle quite nicely. So I'm going to mask up the cockpits, mask up the landing lights again, which are really good. It's very difficult to see how they've done that. They've done it really well. Then mask up this under observation window, and we'll get it primed up. And we'll see if there's any gaps or seams that need sorting out. But otherwise, I'm quite pleased with this kit so far. Right, as you can see, I've got the battle all masked up. It went together quite nicely, so it's all primed as well. So I'm going to paint the underneath black. I've looked at my stash. I don't have any Tamiya or AK, which I probably would have used, but I've got some of that. I haven't sprayed with this before, the glossy black model colour. So I've used some Vallejo airbrush improver, 3 drops to every 10 drops of paint, and a little bit of water. That's kind of the consistency we get, which is a bit thick. But you see, it seems to spray okay. You can see on that. So let's just see what it looks like. Let's get some colour on. It's all black. So it's just quite thin going on. You can see that. So it's quite, looks like it's going to be okay. So I'll spray the rest of the underneath of it. It might need a couple of coats, but it will dry gloss, which is okay because we're gonna darken it down. We'll matte it down with some varnish later on. So I'll get the rest of it painted. So it's just been sprayed, so it's busy drying at the minute. Decent coverage, sprayed okay-ish, but I'm not that keen on spraying those myself. I would have done Tamiya or AK if I had it, but never mind. It'll do the job, so we'll let that dry, then we'll get the rest. Okay, so that's the black underneath. I wasn't very happy with it, so I've knocked it back a bit. You can see like the raised plastic marks. So I'm going to go back in with an airbrush shortly after I've done the top camouflage, and very carefully airbrushing the black again, but with some low lights and highlights to give it a bit of context, a bit of depth. So now we've masked the top, so we're going to put the green on. I'm using AK Real Color RAF Dark Green, as the instructions say, RAF Dark Green, and I'm using Real Color High Compatibility Thinners. So it's like a 50-50 mix in the airbrush, as you can hopefully see. So it's quite thin, 50-50 mix. It sprays quite nicely. So we're just going to give it a light coat to start with. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to go over the whole aircraft now and get the green base coat on, and then we'll mask that up and we'll get the brown on. We'll go, that's the top coat green on, very nicely got on. It's AK actually sprays very, very nicely. I have unfortunately got a seam come through there, as you can see, just in front of the windscreen area, the cowl there. So that's popped through, so I'm going to have to fill that and clean that up, but it's not to worry. That's where the brown goes, the dark earth goes over that. So no issues there. Otherwise, it's gone together very nicely. As you can see, I really do like the shape of this aircraft. Anyway, so we'll get that sealed up, get that filled in, get that sanded down, and then we'll get the masking on, which is going to use Maskell to get the disruptive pattern. Your traditional RAF green and brown, and then we'll get the brown on, then we'll get the masking tape off. Then I'm going to have to sort out this black. Like I said, I haven't bought any black yet, so I'm going to have to go to Hobbycraft or somewhere and get some Tamiya black and just to spray it in. Now I'll probably demonstrate how I'm going to do that to give it a slightly worn look, because I want to sort of portray this aircraft as in the sort of frantic days of the invasion of France, where maintenance and cleaning, I should say, would have been a secondary duty compared to getting the thing armed and up in the sky. Okay, let's move on. As a quick aside, I've had someone comment on the Edward video about the Edward decals transfers, which are absolute pains in the backside to get right. How you've got to peel the carrier film off the top rather than the carrier film being underneath the transfer. Now, someone said Special Hobby are using the same technique. Now, this is Azur, but it's made by Special Hobby. And I've had a look at these transfers. I thought they looked a bit washed out. Now, I've had a look at them. If you can see how there's quite a lot of carrier film. and they look very similar to the Edward ones. Now, obviously, when I get to putting them on, I'm gonna have to be very careful to get a high gloss finish on the model itself. And if these are the same sort of techniques you need to get these ones off, then we're gonna have to go steady. Fortunately, there's not that many, so that might answer the question why they look a bit washed out. Stay tuned. We're back now. What I've done, I've masked up the green with Maskell. Simple, easy, quick and effective. You basically just paint it on the pattern that you want. So I basically just followed the instructions as best I can. And we're going to go on with AK Real Colour Dark RAF Dark Earth. There we go. The spray really nicely. I recommend these highly. And again with the Real Colour thinners in the airbrush. Careful. In the airbrush, 50-50 mix. No, that's a better idea. It's hard to see, but it's like the thick milk, I would say, full fat milk. So all we're going to do is just airbrush it on. Now, obviously, you want to try. You got an edge here, so you want to spray away from the edge as best you can, and build the colour up like that. So thin. Oh, did you see that? Right, I'll try on this side. I don't know if you saw that. So like thin layers first. Build it up on the edge until you block the colour in. So I'm going to continue to do that. Then once it's dry, we'll take off the Maskell and the masking underneath, because I do have a bit of work to do on the black, because I did mess that up a bit, but that was with well, you know why. So we'll get back to that once I've done the top camo colours. And there we go, that's all the brown camouflage on. So it's pretty much the base colours are on. Now I'm going to remove the Maskell in particular. Now a tip for that is basically just roll it towards the edge of the paint that you've painted. So I'll try and quickly demonstrate. So it should just roll off like so, and roll it so you got the edge there, so you're rolling it towards the edge. So it should take off any overspray and you should get a nice demarcation line. Le voila, like that. So I'll do the rest of the model and take the underside of the masking off as well, and then we'll see what she looks like. Now, as I previously stated, I've had a bit of a tip off from someone saying these are very similar to the Edward transfers, the ones with the high sort of like carrier film printed on the top of the transfer. So you've got to like apply it and then peel it off, which is quite tricky and can sometimes cause a lot of issues. I've looked at the transfer and it does seem to have quite a bit of carrier film, and it is a bit sort of opaque almost. So I don't know if you can see the carrier film, and that's quite a lot for a modern kit. So I've glossed the wing up, some gloss coat on top of the disruptive pattern. As you can see, it's peeled off and look quite nice. So I'm just going to put this on roughly where it needs to be to have a great look. So it needs to go, just give you a second, further up that way. So there's a panel line there, so that way a little bit. Just double check that. Right, that looks pretty close to me. So I'm going to let that dry. I might pop it back a little bit more actually. Just a teeny bit more. I mean, you shouldn't really use your fingers because it can damage the transfer. But I'm going to leave that on there. We'll let it dry and then we'll see what it looks like. And I may apply some decal solution after that. So, okay, let's see what it looks like. And if this top cover peels off, then we'll do that as well. Right, okay, we've got the transfer set down. It's had some microsol on as well to get into the panel lines. But you can see the carrier film is still quite high. It's still quite prominent, and the colours are still a bit washed out. So I'm not sure if it's the same type of transfers as Edward used. So I'm going to try and see, using my technique of just like a stiff brush with water on, see if I can lift the carrier. Oh, well, that's come up straight away. Well, you can see the carrier film does need to be lifted off like the Edward ones. Let's see if I can get it off in one. So to do the Edward transfers, obviously you've got to have them on a nice glossy surface. It's got to be very glossy. And have the transfer adhere as best you can to the surface. And oh, there you go, it's coming off. So Now we know that Special Hobby use the Edward method. I'm not sure how successful it's going to be for people who are not aware of it, because there's no mention of it in the instructions. But there you go. I mean, the finish, it does give you a very nice finish. But now I'll run my scalpel along the panel lines and put another coat of microsol in there to get them to settle down a bit more. But again, the colour just looks a bit washed out. Obviously, I'll give them a coat of varnish. Let's give it some water, see what it's like. It might be okay with a coat of varnish on first, so I'll put a coat of gloss varnish on and we'll see what it looks like. But yes, Azur or Special Hobby transfers are the same as Edwards. I'm not sure that's a step forward. Right, okay, we have all the transfers on. So that's what it looks like when the top film comes off. I mean, they are acceptable. You could probably live with them if you wanted to do... I mean, I've taken the top film off basically to try and get a better sort of colour saturation, but they're still quite blotchy. But anyway, if you want to take these off, they work exactly the same as the Edward ones. I've got a little stubby brush, old brush. Get some water on the brush. Make sure you've got several coats of gloss on there and the transfers settle down very, very nicely. Otherwise, you're going to have nothing but problems. So, hopefully this will come off. I will demonstrate. And you see it lifts quite quickly there. So these, I know that they are, a lot of people think they are an absolute pain. But if you get your preparation correct, you do not have a problem with them. Like I say, some people don't want to do it, which is fair enough, and they might think it's a retrograde step, but with the correct preparation you can do it. But like I say, no one's told you how to do it. You know, you've had to right. So obviously you can see that it hasn't settled in the panel lines yet, so which I've done with that one. I've gone back over with the decal fix and it's gone in. So I'll just do another one quickly. So we'll do this side round dowel. Again, bit of water on the brush. Again, like I said, pick a corner, which is brilliant because it's round. So pick a corner on the round transfer and just work it under, and it comes off nice and easily. And we haven't damaged. Oh, we have. We've got a little bit of blue come off there. So there's me being all cocky and confident, and I've damaged my transfer. So there's a little bit of blue come off there, but I'll just dab that in with the paintbrush. But I do understand why people don't like them, particularly for errors like that, where it's just for no reason, it's just torn the transfer. So I'll take the rest off, I'll touch that in, and then I found some black paint, so I'm going to go on the underneath and patch in where I've made terrible errors with that horrible other paint I sprayed, but it'll be fine. Like I say, if you build the model, nothing ever goes 100% correct all the time. Be prepared for mistakes and errors, and you can fix them. You can always bring it back and just incorporate it into the model. Right, that's all the transfers done, settled down, and I've touched in the bits that have been torn, and they're all in into the grooves of the panel lines. Blocked in the exhaust a bit there. I need to sort out this underneath, so I've actually found some black paint, so some enamel paint, thinned it, and I'm basically just going to touch in the bits that I've missed, and the bits I've had to have come through the plastic after I've cut them back. So I'm basically just going to do that, bring it back to life, and then we'll do some weathering. Right, we've progressed a bit with the model, so I've basically given it a coat of gloss varnish over the transfers, and you can see they're sitting in the recess panel lines quite nicely. Again, they are pain in the backside to put on, but they're on. There's not that many to sort out, so, you know, we can live with that. I've airbrushed some exhaust stains and some, just gently going over some panel lines just with some black paint, just to add a bit extra. See on the tail planes, on the rudder, you can see there it's pretty stark at the minute, but it will blend in and get weathered down. Now I want to give the model a wash, so what I'm going to use for this is from Fairey Models. It's this dark dirt. It's like a clay wash. I think Fairey Models, I think you can get it from PM Models, this stuff. It's I haven't used much of it, and it's okay, but I just want to see what it's like on these very lightly engraved panel lines. So basically it's a clear wash. It sits in the recesses, and you just get like a damp tissue or something and just wipe it off. Go careful. and it should leave the impression of like a dark dirt engraved into the panel lines itself, just to give a bit more accentuation. Now I need to find a suitable paintbrush, because I think it does knacker them, this paint. This will do, an old Airfix Humbrol number 2. So I've given it a good shake. You've really got to give it a good shake, because it seems to settle in the bottom. Basically just load up the brush and just paint it on, and you see how it goes up in the recesses there. Again, just load it on. So I'll paint the whole model, we'll let it dry, and then we'll attempt to wipe it off, and we'll see what it looks like. Just a quick update. Of course I've gone and spilled it. Right, so I'll let that dry and we'll see what it's like, and then we'll come and wipe it off. I think I'm going to order myself a new mat. Now, as we can see, it's dried, and it's got quite a mucky mess on the model, so hopefully I'll be able to bring it back to life. One thing I have noticed, just for a future reference, if you look around the nose, it looks very nice, like mud splashes and whatnot. Now, I've got the Airfix Stalwart coming, and I think I might try and use this technique on that to give the impression of mud. However, that's for a future date. So now this stuff actually wipes off with a wet. If you wet it, it comes off. But I've got quite a shiny, glossy surface, and the panel lines are quite thin, or quite shallow. So I'm just going to see if it'll actually wipe off just with a dry cloth, and see if that'll take it off, and just see what we end up with. It might be rubbish, it might not be rubbish, it might be good, it might be bad. And it looks alright, actually. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but I have, you can't really see it. I'm looking at the wing, then I'm looking at the picture on the phone, and it doesn't look the same. But yeah, I have got nice sort of like entrenched dirt in the raised panel lines. I will have to obviously settle this up. This is too much in the aileron there, so I'll have to try and take that off, probably with a wet cloth, or just damp it slightly. Right, so I'm going to go over the whole model, and I'll see what it looks like in the end. Like I say, I might have to just go in with a slightly wetter towel or tissue there, just to take that off there, because it does look a bit over the top. Okay, quick look, see where we're at. So it's looking quite good. Again, it's not really picking it well up on the camera, but it's sitting in the recesses quite well. I'm always a bit like dubious about having to rub the model quite hard to get the clay off, but I'll just show you underneath where we're up to. So that's the left-hand side done. Shows you a bit better on there. It's still a bit dirty, so I want to clean it a bit more. And that's the right wing before the left wing before I started. Right wing as you're looking at it. Like I say, by working the model a bit hard, I've snapped the tail wheel off. Brilliant, because it's quite a fragile little thing. So I'm going to do a bit more work on it. That's kind of like the colour that comes off, and I've had to go in with a little cotton bud, or Q-tip, as I think you Americans say. Right, so we'll continue. Now, I've done a little bit more work on the model, a little bit more sort of, teeny bit more weathering, a bit of going in with the base coat again, the green, just touching it in there to give the impression of scratch marks and scuff marks, a bit of streaking with some very thin oil paints. Underneath, again, similar sort of effect, a bit of black around there, but it's going to get a coat of matte varnish shortly. So I'm gonna actually try and crack on and get this finished. So I'm going to give it a coat of matte varnish. Then we're going to move on to the canopy, which is going to be so much fun to mask up. So that's like long, thin strips of Tamiya masking tape, mask all, spray it, fit it with crystal clear glue, and then we're pretty much there for that. The propeller's almost sorted as well. I've got the white tips on, which are going to be painted yellow. It's a bit of weather on that as well. And I might do a final bit of scratching with some like little silver pencil, but that's about it. So let's crack on and get this finished. When I come back, it'll all be done. Some detail work to do, like aerials and things like that, but otherwise we're pretty much there. Right, there we go. They're all masked off, and mask all put in the to fill the gaps. Now, I suggest if you're going to build this model, buy yourself a mask set or wait for one to come out, because that was a tedious couple of hours. I can tell you that much for nothing. Right, there we go. The model is now complete. I put the glazing on, the bits and bobs, the Lewis gun's gone on, propeller's gone on. It's had its coat of matte varnish, etc, etc. And I'm quite pleased with the way it's turned out. Thoughts on the kit? Right, so for the choice of subject, definitely 10 out of 10. Definitely need a decent Fairey Battle in 1/72 scale, and this is perfect. It's spot on. Choice of subject, brilliant. Moulding, excellent. Fit pretty good. I don't think I had many issues. Undercarriage is a little bit tricky, but it goes together quite nicely. Choice of schemes good. Transfers abysmal, but there you go. Stop making them the same as Edward. They are just absolute dog doo-doo. Canopy, really good. Now I suggest if you're going to make this, get yourself a canopy mask, because it is a right chew on, and it's not 100% perfect. I don't think I'm not 100% happy with it. But as it goes as a 1/72 scale Fairey Battle, I'm really happy with it, pleased with it. A really good looking aircraft, modern for its time, all metal stress skin aircraft. Unfortunately didn't fit into the doctrine that it was required to do, wasn't up to the task, which is a shame. However, this men did get into these planes and took the fight of the enemy, which you got to be grateful for. Apart from that, I'll put some images up at the end. I hope you enjoyed it. Gives a like, gives a comment. Oh yeah, okay, that'll be great. So I'll draw this one to an end, and thanks for watching.